A few years ago, well, actually over 10 years ago now, I used to go to a church in St. Catherine's, and one Sunday, the pastor gave the whole congregation a homework assignment. And that assignment was to pray for a revelation of God's love and that was and bring your answer back the following Sunday and share it with everybody. It was a small church, so I prayed at the beginning of the week for a revelation of God's love, and I think it was the next day that I was watching this video online, and it was a science video about the measure of heat, and how there's no actual way that people measure cold. They're actually measuring the absence of heat or thermal energy. And so I watched the whole video. I thought, oh, that's cool. I did not know that before, and it stuck with me. And the following few days, I don't remember, it didn't take long, I was online on one of my social media accounts, and it was open to the public, and I got this random, because I'm a Christian, I had that type of content, photos and stuff on my app, and I ended up getting this random comment from this person whom I've never met before. Their account looked real, but they were all their stuff was like anti-Christian. And they were like angry with me for posting this random stuff like God loves you, you're loved, stuff like that. For some reason that angers people. Anyway, so I saw that their account was a real account, and I thought, okay, I know that anger is usually a symptom of pain. So the more angry she is with me, the more I just saw a person with a broken heart. And so I took the time to answer her questions, and one of them was, I forget what the question was exactly, but she made another comment to answer my answers, and she said, "But God made the devil." And so it was through this, I'm getting ahead of myself, before she ever found my social media, whoever she was, I never heard from her again. God let me know about his light and his fire and his he likened it to a campfire. He said, he gave me a picture of me and him sitting around a fire, and he said, "This is my fire. And the closer you are to the fire, the more that you can feel the heat. Imagine the heat is love. This is a picture or symbol of my love. The closer you are to me, the more you feel and sense and can benefit from the warmth of my love. The more you can become warm too. Be filled with love, so to speak." And I thought, oh, that's cool. So and then he eventually, I think it was the next day, he said, I forget how exactly, but he basically put two and two together, where he said, so there's no way to measure a cold heart. There's only a way to measure the absence of the heat of love. And just like the devil, so imagine sin is a result of coldness. Imagine heat being the love. So the further you get away from the fire of God, from the campfire, the more cold you become. The more cold your heart becomes, the more cold and dark it becomes around you, because only the fire brings true light. The fire being the fire of God, the fire of his love, because God is love. So just equate God and love like true love. The Bible describes it as The Greek word is agape, or agape, and it basically means unlimited, unconditional, completely selfless type of love. Like the Greek has different words for different kinds of love. Eros being the physical. It can be, I love this bracelet, or it can be a physical love. What else is there? There's phileo. It's where we get the name for Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. It's a brotherly, platonic type of love. There's different kinds of love. And the one that he was emphasizing with the fire was agape, the fire of God. And so I thought, oh, that's so cool. So a thermometer can be like a symbol of like how to track how close you are to God. So like the closer you are to God, the more on fire you can become, the more in the temperature and the heat of his love. And so the heat is love, is God. So the closer you are to God, the more you are in his love, the more you feel the heat from it, the more you can be transformed and spread that love to others. And just like the cold, it's negativity, it's evil, it's to be like the devil. It's to be the outcome of the absence of love, to be cold. So I thought, oh wow, that's really cool. God is answering my prayer. He's given me a revelation of love, but he's doing it this way, and I couldn't wait to get more. Anyway, so fast forward to my social media account. The woman, after we're going back and forth, I'm answering her questions. I'm being respectful. I'm understanding that she's spilling out what's in her heart, which looks like anger, but remember, anger is usually a symptom of pain, a picture of pain. So I handled her with care, because I knew that this had to be God, because the stuff that she was saying coincided with the stuff that I had just learned that day, the day before, and the day before that. And so I was very aware that I had to handle her with care, because this had to be God, because everything I learned was a large part, not because I had the assignment from the pastor to the congregation, but because what are the odds? Someone who's wounded in the heart needs to hear that God is actually love, and he did not create an evil thing. So I answered her question, and I said something like, and this was over 10 years ago, but I said something like, God did not create an evil thing. He created a being, a beautiful being, whose name meant light, or light bearer, and he had free will. And so he had the ability, the free will, the know-how, I guess you could say, to be as close to God as he wanted to be. And he was right there at the throne. But somewhere in that free will, he decided to choose to start honoring himself. He was so beautiful. He was so, like, he made such beautiful music. He was the bearer of light. Like, he was bright and beautiful and talented, and he started to get a little full of himself in his free will. And he actually thought that he could take on God and take over heaven. Because, sin blinds. So God did not create an evil thing. Slowly, the devil, he doesn't have a name anymore. That word devil means divider. And he slowly started to become less for God and more for himself. It was a gradual thing. And over a period of however long it took, I don't know. We're not told how long it took, but we are told that he eventually started a war in heaven. He convinced angels to follow him. And he became so far away from God, so far away from that heat, the campfire, so far away from the true light, the true source of light, that he eventually became the outcome of the absence of love. And eventually he got expelled from heaven. He got thrown down to the earth, and it was like lightning. It was fast. It wasn't a slow, drawn out. No, it was just like that. He was cast out. And likewise, there are people that we encounter somewhere in life. Maybe they started off, close to the fire, close to God, and close to the light, but slowly over time they started to look elsewhere. They started to look at their own righteousness. They started to look at their works, their good works. And the word says our works are as like filthy rags. Like, they don't save us. They don't make us good. It's good to do things, but doing good things doesn't make us good. It doesn't make us holy. It doesn't make us better than other people, And so people, they can become cold-hearted. They can start living for religion instead of God. They can start to slowly over time become, if they're not careful, they can slowly over time become the outcome of the absence of love, the outcome of the absence of that fire, the outcome of not being close to that fire. Then they slowly grow cold. The Bible describes the church of Laodicea as neither being hot nor cold, but they are lukewarm. They think that they have everything. They don't need Jesus. In the beginning of Revelation 3, where he talks about the church of Laodicea, Jesus is on the outside of the church knocking because he would like to come in. And the church thought they were okay. And there are people who are just completely cold. They once walked in love. They once saw the light, but they walked away. And there are people who are just on fire for God because they stayed close to him, and over time, they just became transformed more and more to become selfless, to become more like him, to become full of agape love. And so that's what I told her, and that's what I had learned that week. And so what happened the following Sunday, I was so excited. When at the service, the pastor asked, "So who would like to share?" And my hand shot up, and he was like, "Oh, okay, all right," because I was so excited. I was like, "Me," and I told them everything that I just said here. But I was talking mostly about the devil and why God created the devil, and how he created actually a good being, but eventually the good being, in his free will, chose pride slowly over time and just chose to be full of himself. I was basically talking about the devil. And I was just saying that and this is what happens when you walk away from the fire of God. And I was supposed to be talking about the love of God, but I said all this instead. And when I was done, I sat down and I realized I didn't really talk about God's love much. As I talked more about the devil and the absence of God's love. And everyone looked confused. And I remember looking to my right, and there's this old lady, and she's looking at me like I'm nuts. Like, she didn't talk about God's love at all. And I sat there, and I got my hand on my cheek, and I'm like feeling like, what did I just say? That was like the opposite of what I was supposed to talk about. Anyway, after the service, I went to go visit some of the other elders, Bruce, and their names were Bruce and Brenda, and they were an old couple, and they're in heaven now. And they were awesome. And they are awesome. They're in heaven now, and I hope to see them one day. But anyway, I went to go see them, and I told Brenda how embarrassed I felt. I was like, I was supposed to talk about God's love, and the whole time I talked about the devil, and she was in church and she heard it. Anyway, she started like being so pleased and happy, and she said, well, you know what? Actually, while you were talking, there was our lady friend was sitting in the very back of the church, and she heard everything that you said. And she was having trouble trusting God, or she was having trouble with the question like, God, why did you invent the devil? Why did you create him? Because she didn't realize that he started off good. She thought God, like the woman in my social media, they both thought that God invented something evil. But no. It was because of that question and my answer that God had given me, that she was able to, go for it in her relationship with God, because of the answers that he had given me the previous week. And so it may not have been the answer that the rest of the congregation was looking for, but it was the answer that changed the lives of 2 women in 1 week. And the thing about when you have to remember, as a Christian, God, his heart is after the one. The word says that he leaves the 99 to go look for the one. And this is so important. You can never lose sight of this as a Christian. How valuable a person's life is. We can never think about them as a number. When he sees, if there was only one person on the planet at the time of that Jesus, when he was on the cross in Calvary, if there was only one person to die for, he still would have done it. Because his love is very personal. It's very interactive. It's very alive. It's very focused on each and every one of us. That if you were the only person on the planet, he still would have come to die for you. He still would have gone to hell for you in your place, so that you would not have to. Because the default destination of every person who is of, how you say, the age of accountability, where you know the difference between, what the difference is between a sin and right and wrong. And if you were the only person on the planet, he would still do it, because his love for you is very personal. He can count every hair on your head, and he takes joy in doing that, because he loves you. He loves the look of your face. He created it. And so my heart, and the whole point of this, of what I do, it's for the one, because I was once the one. So I understand the value and the importance of doing things, of obeying God for the one. I remember being online, and there was it was a topic of, it was a news post about children that had been rescued from trafficking. And there was like 8 kids. It was a relatively small amount for what people are used to reading about online. And this random guy commented on the post and saying how it wasn't enough. Like, seriously? You're proud of yourself for that? He's like being a troll. And that angered me. It angered me because I forget what I said. I remember saying something like, it may not be enough to you, but to that one little girl who's being, forced to do something 40 times a day with 40 men or whatever, like, it's life-changing for her. If there was only one child being rescued, it's still enough. It's still enough. It's still valuable. And it's the same with God rescuing the addict that you run into. It's the same as God coming. He came to earth for each and every one of us. You know, we can't look down on people. We can't devalue people, because if there was even one person on the planet, he would have still come for that one person. And so I just wanted to share this testimony real quick, and just remind people that God did not create an evil thing. He created a being of light with free will. And that being eventually became the outcome of the absence of love, the outcome of the absence of God. And that's something that we as Christians need to keep in mind, because it's possible. If it's possible for an angel who was at the throne of God, for him to become the outcome of the absence of love, then it's we have to be careful. We can't be so thinking that, you know, it's not possible for someone to fall away, because it is possible for someone to give up their relationship with God. It's possible for someone to, over time, slowly just become cold. You have to be diligent in your walk. You have to be purposeful in your walk. There's no such thing as once saved, always saved. I believe that for decades. And God, in his mercy and his love, he came to rescue me with the truth. You have to be purposeful in your walk. You have to read the word in order to become cleansed and transformed. The Bible says that the word cleanses us, and I'll find the scripture for that. I'll put it in the description below. And you have to pray. Prayer is connection. Prayer is growth. I used to think, well, I don't care if I grow or not spiritually, as long as I get to heaven. That's a mistake. That was a huge mistake on my part. You have to grow, because to grow means to grow closer to him. It means to get closer to that fire. It means get closer to that love. And the closer you get to him, the more you become transformed. The word says, less of me and more of him. I must decrease, but he must increase.